1,001 buses. That's how many Scenicruisers Greyhound built between 1954 and 1956. Each one cost 40% more to build than a regular bus, and it made more revenue per passenger. If they were making more money per bus, why did Greyhound stop building them after just 2 years? What made this bus so special? Why did people stop and stare when they saw one? It starts with a secret deal. Nobody saw it coming. In 1954, America had a problem. Cars were getting cheaper. Planes were getting faster. But buses were the same boring boxes from the 1930s. The whole bus industry was dying. Greyhound knew this, but they could see the future, and buses were not in it unless they did something crazy. So Greyhound made a bold move. They called General Motors, not the truck division, but the car styling team. The same people who designed Cadillacs and Corvettes. Their mission was simple: build a bus from the future. Picture yourself in 1954. A bus ticket from New York to Los Angeles cost $42. That is $500 today. For that money, you got a hard seat and a view of someone's head for 3 whole days. Meanwhile, airlines were getting cheaper and faster. Something had to change. The Scenicruiser was not just different, it was shocking. Imagine this. You're waiting at the bus stop. A regular bus pulls up. Then this thing appears. It is gleaming silver, split level, with windows everywhere. The styling came from Raymond Loewy, the man who designed the Coca-Cola bottle and the Lucky Strike logo. He was the most famous industrial designer in America. The top deck had panoramic seating with views like you had never seen. No more staring at heads. You could see mountains, canyons, the whole American landscape. The bottom level was a genius of packaging, with luggage space, restrooms, and a lower lounge area. Total capacity, 43 passengers, in luxury. First-class airline seats looked cheap compared to this. On paper, the engineering seemed brilliant. They made it 40 feet long, the maximum legal length, and 102 inches wide, the maximum legal width. They used every inch the law allowed. But here is where the genius became a disaster. The technical choice that would destroy everything was the drivetrain. Twin Detroit diesel 471 engines, 160 horsepower each, linked through a complex fluid coupling system. Twin engines in a bus should have been a red flag. No one expected what happened next. The first Scenicruiser rolled into Chicago's Union Station in 1954. Something incredible happened. People stopped what they were doing and stared. Kids pressed faces against the glass, and adults grabbed cameras. One witness later said it was like an alien spaceship landing. And that is when Greyhound realized something huge. Executives had a light bulb moment. They had not just built a better bus, they had built a phenomenon. People were not buying transportation anymore, they were buying an experience. For the first time in history, people were excited about riding a bus. But those same executives missed something important. When you build something this revolutionary, you better be ready to pay for it. Innovation isn't just about cool design, it's about hidden costs. And those hidden costs, they were about to destroy everything. So if this bus was so amazing, why don't you see them today? The answer is in a 1957 company memo. Greyhound never wanted you to see it. This is where innovation dies, in accounting departments. Engineers think about what is possible. Accountants think about what is profitable. And in America, accountants always win. The consequences? They destroy entire industries. Every time accountants kill innovation to save money, they do not just hurt one company. They set a pattern that destroys everything. Greyhound executives thought they had it figured out. The Scenicruiser was beautiful. Customers loved it. It created a buzz. So they ordered 1,001 of them, just over 1,000 buses. A market test. What could possibly go wrong? Here's what nobody calculated up front. Twin engines meant everything was custom. Everything was complex. Everything could break. Get ready for this number. 88% of early mechanical failures were in the powertrain. Not 8%, 88%. And it gets worse. The first 570 buses, every single one had to be repaired in Greyhound shops. Every single one. But building was just the start. The real nightmare was those twin 471 engines. Picture this mechanical disaster. Two engines side by side, connected through a fluid coupling with an electric clutch that was basically on or off. No smooth engagement, just harsh, jerky starts that destroyed transmissions. Buses were breaking down on highways, on mountain roads, on city streets. Passengers were stranded for hours. Some routes had to stage spare engines just to keep schedules. And Greyhound's response was denial. They kept running television ads about reliability, while secretly fighting fires across their entire fleet. On July 25th, 1956, Greyhound's president held a press conference. On live television, he announced plans to sue General Motors for millions in damages over repeated and extraordinary mechanical failures. But here is what really happened. They never actually filed the lawsuit. Instead, they settled quietly. They bought more General Motors buses and pretended everything was fine. But behind the scenes, Greyhound was planning something massive, something that would cost them over $13 million. But here's the part that will blow your mind. Greyhound knew all this before they built the first one. I found the reports, cost projections, maintenance estimates. It's all there. They knew it would cost more. They knew maintenance would be harder. They knew training would be expensive. So why did they build it anyway? Because they thought customers would pay extra, and they thought premium pricing would cover premium costs. Half right. Customers did love it. They did pay extra. But Greyhound made one fatal mistake. They wanted innovation benefits without innovation commitment. When reality hit the accounting department, something predictable happened. Instead of solving the cost problems, they decided to eliminate them. What happened next wasn't engineering failure. It was corporate sabotage. They were about to turn the most beautiful bus ever built into a forgettable machine. Now, you might think Greyhound would try to solve these problems. Maybe invest in better training. Maybe fix the maintenance issues. Maybe commit to their innovation. You would be wrong. What they did instead was evil. This is where corporate greed shows its true face. Companies face a choice: short-term profits or long-term innovation. They almost always choose money. But here is the sneaky part. They do not announce they are killing innovation. They disguise it. Cost cutting becomes improvements. Corner cutting becomes efficiency. And by the time you notice, it is too late. By the time customers realize what is happening, the innovation is dead. Greyhound's strategy was genius. Evil genius. They would keep the Scenicruiser name, keep the marketing, keep the premium prices, but they quietly eliminated everything that made it special. Death by 1,000 cuts. Each cut was small enough that customers would not notice, until it was too late. Think like a Greyhound executive in 1957. Shareholders want higher profits. Maintenance costs are eating margins. Competitors are cutting prices. There are two options: spend millions solving the engineering problems, or spend thousands making the problems disappear. Guess which one accounting recommended? The problems weren't just mechanical. The buses were literally cracking apart. And this is where it gets scary. Frame cracks started appearing around the rear side windows, above the rear axle, where all the stress from that split-level design came together. Think about this. You're riding on the upper deck, enjoying those panoramic views, and the frame is cracking underneath you. Picture yourself as a passenger in 1956. You book a Scenicruiser for that luxury experience. You pay extra. Halfway through your trip, the bus breaks down. Engine failure again. You are stranded on a mountain road for 6 hours waiting for a replacement bus. When you complain, Greyhound's response was that they were working on improvements to the system. But Greyhound and General Motors had a bigger problem. They had built 1,000 of these buses, all with the same flawed twin-engine setup, and all with the same structural weak spots. So what do you do with 1,000 broken buses? Option 1. Admit the design was flawed, recall them, and fix them properly. Option 2. Keep running them. Keep pretending they work. Keep collecting premium fares while passengers suffer. Guess which one they chose? They kept running them while secretly planning the biggest bus rebuild in American history. But here is the most revealing part. Greyhound did not just cheapen the Scenicruiser. They systematically moved them off premium routes. The buses that debuted on New York to Chicago were quietly moved to regional routes, secondary markets, less important connections. Meanwhile, regular Greyhounds took over the premium services. Think about how insane this is. They took their most innovative product and demoted it, while promoting their most ordinary product to flagship status. It is like Apple making the iPhone cheaper by removing features, then using it only for budget plans, while selling regular phones as premium devices. It makes no sense unless you understand the real goal: to eliminate innovation without admitting you are eliminating it. By 1962, the Scenicruiser still looked beautiful outside, but inside, it was just another bus with a fancy name. Customers started noticing. Competitors gained ground. And Greyhound was about to learn something painful. You can't fake innovation forever. What happened next wasn't just the death of a bus. It was the beginning of the end for Greyhound's control of American transportation. So how does America's most innovative transportation company become a warning story? It starts with a boardroom decision. It seemed logical at the time. It would haunt the industry for decades. This moment defined American business culture for the next 50 years. When executives face failing innovation, they have two choices. Choice 1, double down. Invest more. Solve the problems. Commit to the vision. Choice 2, cut losses. Kill complexity. Return to what is safe and profitable. Guess which one builds lasting companies? Guess which one American executives almost always choose? The consequences didn't just kill the Scenicruiser. They killed the entire idea of premium bus travel in America. 6 years after launch, Greyhound made a decision that proved everything I've been telling you. They decided to rebuild every single Scenicruiser. All 979 remaining buses underwent complete powertrain replacement at a cost that would destroy the most companies. The twin-engine nightmare had become impossible to hide. Breakdowns were constant. Passengers were furious. Drivers hated them. But here's the number that forced their hand. 88% of mechanical failures were still in the powertrain after 7 years of operation. So Greyhound made the most expensive admission of failure in bus history. From 1961 to 1962, Marmon Harrington got the contract. They ripped out the twin 471 engines and installed single 8 V71 Detroit diesel engines. They replaced the electric clutch with a proper 4-speed Spicer manual transmission. Every bus was completely rebuilt from the ground up. Picture the scale of this disaster. 979 buses. Each one had to be taken out of service, stripped down to the frame, and rebuilt with a completely different powertrain. And the cost? Over $13 million in early 1960s money. That's over $120 million today. Here is the part that proves everything. After the rebuild, with the single 8V71 and the Spicer transmission, the Scenicruisers finally worked. They became reliable. Drivers liked them. Passengers had great experiences. But the damage was done. Greyhound had spent more rebuilding the buses than they had spent buying them. And the relationship with General Motors? Destroyed. Greyhound never trusted General Motors with another revolutionary design. General Motors learned that innovation without testing destroys partnerships. The most beautiful bus ever built had become the most expensive lesson in corporate history. But here is what this whole disaster really proves. The Scenicruiser did not fail because the concept was bad. It failed because both companies wanted the benefits of innovation without accepting the costs of innovation. General Motors refused to use a proven V8 engine from another company. They forced the twin-engine compromise to protect their engine roadmap. Greyhound rushed into mass production without proper testing. They wanted the marketing benefits of innovation without investing in making it work. The result? $13 million to fix what should have been done right the first time. And by then, it was too late to save the program. The last Scenicruiser retired in 1975, 21 years of service. But by then, it was just a shell, a shadow of the revolutionary machine from 1954. Something more than one bus model died. The idea that American transportation companies could lead through innovation died too. Instead, they chose cost-cutting. That pattern became the DNA of American business. Create something revolutionary, then destroy it through short-term thinking. It became the defining characteristic for the next half-century. The Scenicruiser story is not unique. It is a pattern we see repeatedly in American business. Companies create something revolutionary, then destroy it through short-term thinking and cost-cutting that eliminates exactly what made it special. Today, we see the same dynamic in technology companies that sacrifice long-term innovation for quarterly earnings. In automotive companies that abandon distinctive designs for generic efficiency. In every industry where accountants have more influence than engineers.